Hi, intro students. I wanted to lecture very briefly on this term modernity because it's going to start coming up a lot in regard to some of the historical references we're going to make in our coming lectures. And modernity, in terms of canons or movements, is a framing device that we're going to need to understand in order to properly understand the condition of the time periods we're going to be looking at. So let's see if it'll let me do that. There we go. So modernism, keep in mind modernism versus modernity. Modernity is the condition, modernisms are the thoughts, okay? The thoughts of the and theories of the time. So modernity, there was a prevailing belief in technology and not craft. Craft in the sense of art. There's a lot of division between these two terms because craft is kind of tethered to making things by hand and having a set of specifically learned skills in order to generate certain things or objects often. Whereas we're going to see a shift to a belief in technology over that kind of human learned skill or human production. So this thought of human perfectibility, not original sin, so this kind of divide in thinking that humans will be in control and in control of their own destinies as opposed to beholden to higher power of some sort. And then the ceaseless consumption of things and the images of things. So this conspicuous consumption and production for the sake of production is going to be a signal for us to understand this kind of unique time period. So we're going to use an identifier. I think that the Eiffel Tower is a really wonderful identifier of these three characteristics of modernity. So at the time, the World's Fair, it was used. It was built for the World's Fair as a way of demonstrating the kind of might and industrial power of a nation or nation state. And so the Eiffel Tower was used as propaganda, as a symbol of technological progress, the power and promise of those in control over Europe at the time, right? This is turn of the century. We're talking right now, if I haven't been very clear about that, about the, turn into the 1900s. And so, especially over resources and wealth, this kind of dominance. What was also so critical was seeing from the top of the tower, right? This is, again, a significant, a signifier for us of, I think that human perfectibility, I think, is a really good way of thinking in terms of man, human, elevating themselves to a God's eye view or a bird's eye view, and doing that of their own accord, and their own kind of industrious belief in technology. So we'll see that again, obviously, with the looking back at Earth from the moon 80 years later. But here's a kind of sequential, right? So you see 1888, you're getting a sense of the time period, right? And 1887 through 1889, okay? And that perspective from the Eiffel Tower, things to note and pay attention to are this kind of built environment. So this line of sight, right, is very particular and specific. And if you've ever been here or been to the Eiffel Tower, the I can never say it correctly, Champs-Élysées. You can kind of look down in these directions and see the way that the landscape is designed for aesthetic purposes. Right, and we get this image of the Earth from the moon, right, which sparks the Earth movement, or the environmental movement. Okay, and the most other visible sign of this, right, this future sign of where things are headed, is the pervasive automobile, right, the transportation. So you get trains, planes, automobiles, right? These are all signifiers of this time and these characteristics. So things to understand, and why it's going to be important for us to address some of this stuff in terms of art, because art isn't immune, it's often a response. So through the medium of technology, culture was reinventing itself everywhere. So look at these dates. So 1877 up through 1909. Look at Edison and the recorded voice, Edison's incandescent filament bulb, electricity. The Lumiere brothers invented the movie camera and the projector. We got Curie doing radium. We've got the Wright brothers. We've got Einstein. We've got the mass production of forked vehicles crossing the English Channel. Right, so in 1913, this French philosopher says, the world has changed less since the time of Jesus Christ than it has in the last 30 years. Right, and what we'll see, and we'll lecture on this, is that this all, look at this date, 1913, is all leading up to World War I, which is going to be a significant moment, right, in world history for the ways that these, I would say the velocity at which things are moving is untenable and leads to conflict. So the rate of change was rapid, a new order of things, an end to what was, and the start of something new. And so we're going to see some radical things happen. One of the most exciting for us, and I think more challenging things we're going to look at, is abstraction, and this kind of shift in art toward abstraction, because it's not the most comprehensible or most it's not the most easy thing to understand. It's difficult and challenging to articulate what abstract art is often doing, and I think a lot of people feel either intrigued and invested in wanting to know more, or they're completely turned off and isolated. So I look forward to getting into that, some of those topics, and keep in mind that we're entering into some of this with an understanding of modernism and modernity.